Hello guys, this is hraggstad and welcome back to another episode of Multiplayer Mondays. Alrighty then. I've noticed something actually as I've been doing these have turned into sort of news. And channel news and all that stuff. It's essentially my weekly update. And I can't remember my first episode of Multiplayer Mondays. I'm on 32 now, I believe, so... number one, I can't remember what I said that this series would be about, but as of right now, I am either changing and or not changing, depending on what I originally set out to do. The point of this series, it's going to be, you get to see gameplay from multiplayer games. That's the key point. It's been almost all Battlefield, except for a brief stint with Titanfall. But yeah, it's a news. What happened to me, channel news, gaming, computer, and science news that I find cool. So, yeah. Anyway, number one on our list, because I actually made a list, there's a lot of stuff this past week, is Destiny launch. The Destiny launch is on Tuesday, the 9th of September, which is also the 9th month, so it's 9/9/14, which is the 9/9 is September the 9th is a date that a lot of stuff comes out. Because it's in 2009 and 999, that was a very popular date to release stuff. But anyway, Destiny launch for consoles, PS4, Xbox, all that stuff. And that's going to be awesome. And a recently published article, maybe 1 or 2 days ago, from IGN, does say that PC Destiny will be coming in 2015. Thank God. I so badly want to play this game now. Originally, I was kind of looking at it going, you know, it looks like Halo. The Halo multiplayer doesn't look that great. And well, I never really got into the Halo multiplayer. I didn't play it that much, granted, but yeah. But anyway, I really want to play it now. I really like what they've done with it, and a big selling factor for me is Peter Dinklage, the voice of, what's his name? I feel like... No, Ghost, that's it. No, is it Ghost? I don't know, the little cube thing that flies around and hacks things. Anyway, yeah. So, when the game does come out, I think the Titan class, I can see, is going to be played a lot. A lot of people are going to pick that. A lot of people like using weapons, and maybe not so much focusing on the ability side of things. Originally, I had decided that I was going to go with the Warlock. But the lazy side of me decided to go, no, that's too much power balancing. You'd have to... It seems mainly power focused. So I decided to go... I'm probably going to play the Hunter. Despite the fact that I like the look of the Warlock better than the Hunter. But I decided to go with the Hunter because... well, I like accuracy in games. I always like being accurate. If you've seen the Left 4 Dead stuff, I always compete to be the best accurate throughout the entire... game. Yeah. And then, of course, for those of you who have seen my Battlefield 4 sniping, you're going like, you're not accurate at all. Yeah, some games don't work for me. Oh, speaking of games, I think I'm using the L85A2 right now. Looks like the L85A2. It might be the ACWR. I don't really know. I can't really remember. It might be neither of the two. I just recorded this gameplay, but I have no idea what's going on. Yeah, while I'm on the subject of L85 and all that stuff, there's guns, I'm just going to cover this quickly, there's guns in Battlefield that click with different people better. And what I mean to say by that is that some guns work really well for one person, but don't work really well for another person. Find the gun that works really well for you, and for me, it happens to be the L85, the AUG, the M416 kind of works with everybody. But yeah, those two guns in particular work really well for me. Also the SAR-21, that one works pretty good for me too. And then from there, it's just focusing on what attachments to stick on it to make it better for you. I've just overhauled some of my loadouts on some of my weapons. I've added a compensator to the L85A2. Now normally I don't add compensators or anything that stops accuracy, because I like being very accurate. I like all my bullets going in one place. But since I have to deal with a lot of sway, typically, because I'm firing at a greater distance, because that's just what Battlefield 4 is right now. Maybe a little bit bullet spread is actually advantageous, which is a stupid way to think about it, but, you know, I'm gonna try it out, see if it works. If it doesn't, I'll just try something else. And if you haven't seen it already, going back to Destiny here, Destiny had a live-action trailer that is pretty damn awesome. So go check that out if you haven't already. I recommend putting on headphones and turning it up to 1080p or higher. I don't think it went higher, but if it did, then try. If your internet connection / computer can handle it. Anyway, next on the list is the crew. I got back into the beta because I had gotten to the PC beta the first time, and then if you had been in the PC beta the first time, then you could go back. They give you a beta to the PC. I actually managed to play it this time, and I thought, okay, this is gonna work now, so I started to play through the beginning of the story. And typically in demos, the biggest calling card of the crew is that you can explore the entirety of the USA. You can drive around everywhere. And obviously in the demo, they don't have the full game unlocked, but I started playing the demo, and I started playing the story, kept going through the story. It starts out pretty good, but it just kept on forcing me to do the story. Now, I could have, and at some points in the story you can't actually just leave and drive around, which is good, but then the markers always pop up, and it's a set a marker to go here or go here. And another thing, one of the major bugs I found is that maps, when you open up the map, your cursor or your selection thing, it was kind of like Battlefield 4's selection thing when you're trying to spawn in and stuff. It's kind of like that. It always panned up to the very top, and I wasn't able to select anything, and that was a major problem when trying to make waypoints. And anyway, originally I was really hyped for the crew. It looked really good, it looked really nice and fluid, you could go anywhere, and I kind of wanted to do some long distance missions. It's like, drive from here to here, like, it's halfway across the USA or something like that, but now I'm not so hyped for it. Originally I was going to wait like a week, or maybe 2 weeks before buying it. Now I'm looking at maybe I'm going to wait a little bit more to see if this game actually turns into something nice. But yeah, that's my thought on the crew right now. And number 3 on our list is the Battlefield 4 rebalance. As most of you know, Battlefield 4 has a CTE server. Now that CTE server is where they do a whole bunch of testing and make sure everything's still, well, introduce a whole bunch of stuff and change a whole bunch of things, tweak a whole bunch of things. And the changes they've been doing on CTE have been piling up recently. So there's going to be a giant Battlefield 4 patch soon that's going to fix a lot of things. And it's going to be great, because as you can see in this video, at one point, there's stupid netcode. It's still a problem. It's called netcode, not netcode, but it's a stupid problem. And they're still trying to fix it, and it's almost been a year since the launch of Battlefield 4. And it's like, come on! You should not be releasing games, I'm talking to EA here, you should not be releasing games when they're in this condition. It's just, you're selling a broken product. I've done a rant on this many times before, so I'm gonna move on. Anyway, I've been getting a couple comments and one private message asking me if I'm gonna get Assassin's Creed Rogue, because it's Assassin's Creed Unity. We knew about it for a long time, we're moving up to it, we're all really excited for it, but then all of a sudden 3-4 weeks ago they dropped the bomb. Hey look, AC comment, yeah, it's called Assassin's Creed Rogue. And now they're looking at it, oh, it's going to be all this stuff, you're playing as a Templar, that's so cool. And then there's some people, and I know I haven't been playing Assassin's Creed for very long, but I haven't been playing it, but I have been following it for a very long time. And there's some people who are able to look at Assassin's Creed Rogue and say, that's Assassin's Creed 4 set in the Arctic/Atlantic, and it's built exactly the same way. Sure, there's a whole bunch of dynamics in it, and there's probably a whole bunch of articles everywhere that tell you, oh, this is Assassin's Creed 4 different from Assassin's Creed Rogue, 8 reasons why, or 10 reasons, or 5 reasons why, or something like that. Well, I'm not buying it. And yes, that is a pun. Because, A, it's not for PC. I'm not going to be getting a console just to buy a game. I would get a console to get the console. And maybe if a game came free with the console, then it would be an added incentive, but no. I have no plans to get a console in the future. But I'm not going to be getting an Assassin's Creed Rogue, even if it does come out on PC, because it's a ramped up slightly Assassin's Creed 4. Anyway, speaking of Assassin's Creed news, Michael Fassbender, otherwise known as the new Magneto in the recent X-Men movies, has been cast as, we believe, Altair in the Assassin's Creed movie, and as Desmond. I'm not quite sure what the whole story is with that. It's kind of tight-lipped at the moment, and probably if I did some digging I could find some more out, but I know Michael has been cast. It was actually a while ago that it was this announced, but I only just heard about it. Yeah. Anyway, and then moving more into media and TV and all that stuff, Heroes Reborn. I was a big fan of the original Heroes series up until the third, maybe fourth season, because it did tank near the end. But Heroes, when it first launched, it was amazing. It was awesome. I loved it. And then obviously it didn't go so well. But hopefully Heroes Reborn will be good, because Heroes Reborn is the new series that they're trying to relaunch. But actually that brings up another topic. In the original Heroes, there was a couple complaints, that one of the main guys, there were a lot of people in Heroes, but one of the main guys was too powerful, because he could, whenever he was around another hero, he could absorb their power, not absorb it, but copy their power, and then eventually he learned that he could access all of the powers that he'd ever been around enough to copy. Just by being around them, he could copy their power. And that began to get really overpowered. He got all these abilities, and then eventually something happened, and he lost all of them. I'm kind of spoiling a bit of the series here, but there's so many plot lines in that series, it honestly doesn't matter that much. And then Skylar, of course, was getting very overpowered, and Zachary Quinto was a very good casting choice for that. So, yeah. But overpowered versus character mentality, aka Superman. Now, what a lot of people say is that because this character, there's almost a natural disposition towards a character because they are so powerful in the series. They have all these abilities that make them completely overpowered, and people say, "Oh, I don't like them. They are just their powers," and they like somebody else who's maybe struggling and then emotionally or struggling with moralities or ethical issues in using their powers, and maybe they're not as powerful. This is why I call it AKA Superman. A lot of people don't like Superman. He's actually a lot of people's favorite heroes, but if anybody has a little bit of thought about it, they could see that Superman is incredibly overpowered. I will agree that he is incredibly overpowered. He has so many abilities. And when the original comic series came out, he was like, he could do anything, literally. Because they would just write up a new power for him every single week. And then eventually there was a Superman Reborn, or Rebuilt, or something like that, redesigned, that was it. And he changed to have just these set of powers. But what a lot of people don't see is morality and the ethical codes that are in Clark Kent. Now this is why I call it overpowered versus character mentality. Superman doesn't kill. Granted, he has a lot of ways to not kill, and still incapacitate, but the reason why I think I've talked about this before, but the reason why I like Superman, he's my favorite DC character, and then Batman, but is because of these challenges. He's got a god complex, psychological, and a whole bunch of other things, and it's not just the powers. I don't really, the powers are a bonus. I'd love to have the power of flight, but yeah. I think I've talked about this once or twice before. Long time ago. But yeah. Anyway, next up on the list is Constantine. The main pilot of it was actually leaked, and if you know where to go, you can find it. And there have been some main changes to the series since then. One of the lead female actresses actually left. Whoops. But yeah, and it's looking to be something along the lines of Supernatural. And I'm a huge fan of Supernatural. I cannot wait for October the 7th is when Supernatural Season 11? Season 10? I can't remember what season they're on now. I'm supposed to be a Supernatural fan. But anyway, yeah, it's supposed to be... It looks a lot like Supernatural, except it's a little bit more... what do you call it? Lost Girl-y? A little bit. I don't know exactly how to clarify it, but it's not so much... Supernatural is all blood and guts and knives and special weapons and big, terrible people, but Constantine, right now, and any series that does this, it's the villain a week, churn out, one baddie per week, and then after the first or second season, typically that, essentially, it should be after the first that goes away, after it gets more traction and all that stuff, and it gets into higher, and more complicated plots, but... Yeah, the Constantine looks like a version of Supernatural, and I watched the pilot, and it looked pretty good. So that's a thing that's coming up. Should be good. And in internet, like total internet-related news, the fappening, as it's been called, the giant iCloud hack, the giant iCloud leak. That happened, and it's cost Apple $26.1 billion in stock drop. Now, that should recover quite quickly. I mean, it's Apple. But this... It's been covered in a lot of articles, and there's even been a couple articles saying what I'm about to say, but it's been covered in a lot of other articles saying this is a giant scandal. If you have a degree in journalism, I know that you have to have taken English courses. Now I know once you become an actual journalist, you're poisoned, and you begin to use words in twisted ways. But scandal is not the right word for this. Violation of privacy is the correct wording for this. This isn't a scandal, it's a downright crime. Now, the way the government and the way that the internet and people are responding to this isn't exactly all right. Because celebrities are treated a little bit too leniently, I guess, or too godlike in our modern society, simply because they're in this public eye. And if you see something doing about if you see the government helping your favorite celebrity, there's something in your mind that goes, oh, the government's good, they're trying to help. And it's a power play. But, yeah, it's not a scandal, it's a pretty terrible thing, actually. And then, transitioning from that to science news, I've only got 2 more items, so I've only got 4 more minutes on the video, so I gotta make it quick. Brain-to-brain communication was confirmed. We were able to do it, tapping from France and to India. They were able to say hello, or something like that, using EEGs. Yeah, and that's a non-invasive brain-to-brain communication, which is... that's bloody amazing. And so, my first thought when I saw that was, oh, goodbye Skype, but that's incredible. It's a non-invasive process. Of course, right now it's not exactly commercially ready. It won't be for a couple of years, but it's pretty darn cool that this was accomplished. And then the final point on our list is there's supposedly a new study stating that... This is a pretty long topic. It's on global warming, but there's a new study stated that the causes of global warming are 99.99999% human. So essentially, we are the problem. Excuse the terrible jet gameplay that you're seeing, and the terrible chopper gameplay that comes later, or maybe it's already passed. And yeah, sorry, yeah. Anyway, and then there's been a whole bunch of articles saying there will always be articles saying that this is real, this is fake, or there'll be some sort of consulting engineer or a consulting scientist who says that, no, this is actually not true. They didn't find this on the correct principles, but at this point, the way global warming as it is, it doesn't really matter. Even if it is only 95% human fault, or maybe if it's 80, if it's 20 even, if it's even 5% human fault, we should be doing something about it. Now, when I first saw an article saying, disproving this 99.999 study, that it was indeed fake, and I was like, I'm all about debate, and I'm all about, they say, well, I say this in return situation, but part of me wanted to have that article taken down just to scare people into thinking this was true. And yes, this is twisting the truth. This is technically really bad. But that's what it's gonna come to. That's the way we're rolling right now. I don't have a lot of time left, but that's the way we're going right now. We're gonna need a giant scare in the world in order to fix ourselves. There's gonna be a giant earthquake, and it's not gonna be in some third world country that you're just gonna get a email request to add a donation to. It's gonna be in Los Angeles, or there's gonna be a giant flood in Canada, or something like that. It's gonna be terrible. And we're gonna wish we had done something about it sooner. And we're gonna try and look for someone to blame, but the only people to blame are ourselves. Even if it's only 95, even if it's only 80, even if it's only 50, even if it's only 20% our fault, it's still our fault. Now, kind of a dull note at the end there, but anyway, I would like to thank you guys for watching. Please remember to like, favorite, subscribe, comment, and all that good stuff if you want to. Not really I didn't mean to say dull moment, but anyway, I will see you guys next time. This is the Hexagon Zero, signing out.